Hello, gentle viewers. This is Guardian, welcoming you back to Out of the Park Baseball 24 with the Oakland A's. In our previous episode, we continue to hover at slightly above the 500 mark. We're nothing if not consistent, I guess. We managed to get a wild card spot, but we were defeated in the final game by the Yankees, who basically just annihilated us, as the Yankees are wont to do. So what are we looking at with the current thing of the A's? Well, one of the things I wanted to address is somebody in the comments was like, "You're a small market team." I'm not a small market team. I'm an asshole owner, but we'll get to that in a moment. But you're a small market team functionally. Why are you spending so much to keep Skeens? And I think there is a trap involved in every sport that if you have X player, that you'll be able to get a copy of X player if you wait long enough. What do I mean by that? There's a Family Guy, that's what it was. There's an episode of Family Guy where the family goes in and discovers they want a boat. And they say you can have the boat or the mystery box. And so Peter says, let's take the mystery box. It could even be a boat. We've always wanted one of those. And it turns out it's not that. But the point is, this is a little itty bitty box. Like a small cardboard box like you'd find like a board game and maybe even smaller than that. But anyway, my point is this. If we don't re-sign Paul Skeens, we're hoping that we can find Paul Skeens later on, and we've already got one of those. Now, for like a player like a Tyler Soderstrom, that I get. I don't want to spend a lot of money on him because there are multiple Tyler Soderstroms. He was a really good player for us. But the thing is that pitchers with Paul Skeens' talent are not easy to find. They aren't. Now, there's definite risk in the contract extension, of course. That's where the opt-out comes in. And this commenter is completely correct. Opt-outs only ever favor the player. They're either going to be pitching amazingly and opt out of the contract so they can get even more money, or they're pitching really terribly and they recognize quite quickly, I can't make more than that on the open market, I'm going to keep the contract. But it's also one of the only ways to get a player to sign for less money up front. If you pay attention to baseball news, you might remember Brian Reynolds of the Pittsburgh Pirates, who had this exact same issue, where he and the team fought for a long time. They had agreed on the length of the contract, they agreed on the amount of money. The one thing they couldn't agree on was Brian Reynolds wanted opt-outs. The ownership's like, nope. However, they eventually came to an agreement, I think without the opt-outs. But it was like a year shorter, maybe? I'm not sure about that. So, at the end of the day, I'm fairly happy with the deal for Skeens. Assuming he signs it, and assuming we have a great, amazing experience because of it. Right. Now, our most immediate question before we get into arbitration and everything is Tyler Glasnow. So, to recap, I presently have $5 million, which is enough to maybe make one or two small free agent signings, but probably not enough to bring in a game changer. So, let's look at Mr. Glasnow and his option. So, Tyler Glasnow had the best season of his career in quite some time this year. In fact, one would argue it's probably the best year of his entire career. It is the height of stupidity to assume that he will be as good, if not better, next year. He is 34 years old, with a history of being injury prone, And the number of years in his career he's pitched 30 starts are exactly 2. All this is to say, he is the definition of a bad bat. Can I get somebody as good as Glasnow on the market for less money? Probably not. However, he's not so special that I think he's worth keeping. I think he's going to hit the market and find that his services are not as demanded as you would hope. I'm not going to pay the sucker's bill for getting a player on a career year and then sign him to a big extension or whatever. So we're going to opt out of his contract. So thank you for your service, Mr. Glasnow. But I will not be bringing you back to the Oakland Athletics. Coaching is all set. Nothing to worry about here. I mean, this is a big thing to worry about, but we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. Wait, who disappeared? What? Oh, Soderstrom, because I traded him when he was ARB eligible. That's right. These deals have already been made. I can't get a qualifying offer for him, which is unfortunate, but I have... there isn't a snowball's chance in hell I would ever consider bringing him in. Oh, you also don't like Mark Kotze, so I'm going to keep Kotze over you, Minter, so you can, as the saying goes, go fuck yourself. Yeah. By the way, before we get into a bit more into the game, something somebody mentioned really sounded like a ton of fun to me. I'm not going to do it yet, but it is something I'm really strongly considering for a future playthrough. Which is, I guess this commenter played a game where he refused to make any free agent signings at all. He could only play the players he drafted or got through international free agency. I can't remember if he stopped himself from trading too. But basically the idea is that it forces you to rely more on your draftees than you otherwise would, because it costs me literally nothing to take everyone who earned one more or more and offer them to come back. Where is it going with that? I don't know. But anyway, that sounded like a really cool thing. And it's something I might consider in the future. For sure. Okay, contracts have gone oot. It's been a rough debut for you, my friend, Mr. DeMoya. Yeah, this number needs to change a lot. That's very problematic. If you're walking a batter every inning, that's not going to end well for you. Still a lot to like about this kid, by the way, and he's quite young still, so there's lots of time for him to truly unlock his full potential. What does this mean in terms of extension money? Very little. So basically this means I'm going to be able to maybe bring in a couple of higher priced players, potentially, to help shore up some of our weaknesses. So what are those weaknesses? What about Peyton Green? We don't know enough about Peyton Green yet. There's actually a lot to like about him. He didn't perform super great for us down the stretch, but I'm not convinced that's his fault. And I do like the overall package he presents. He got potential to be a high average hitter with pretty good power and plate discipline. He doesn't strike out very much. All that is to say that while his debut season with us was fine, I think there's more to him, and I do think he has potential to be, at the very least, a super utility guy, but I think there's more in here. So he's a keeper. Max Clark had a really good season. He was very productive, he played very good defense, he stole a lot of bases, and he drew walks. Again, there's nothing stopping us from keeping him, and in fact, keeping him is exactly what we'll do. The moment we got him out of center, by the way, he became a plus defender, so I think keeping him out of center is really important. Confidant, there's so much more here. That's one of our big benefits of our somewhat disappointing season last year, is that very few players had obvious career years. There's another level for each one of these players. There's a version of Confidants who, as our scout says, hits probably 30 home runs or so. Maybe even 40. Eric Batoni, as a designated hitter, turned out better than I could have expected. Because he's highly unlikely to play any position other than maybe third base. But he's such a good hitter, and we're so desperate for that kind of thing that I think, again, he has a place. So far, the top 4 guys seem to be relatively likely to come back. Jay Allen had kind of a down year. And if there's anything that's a theme in Avi played series, it's the center fielder situation. I can't remember the last time I had a center fielder that was both a great hitter and a great defender that I just kept forever. It is my curse as a player of this game. Now, is Jay Allen as bad as he was last year? He honestly might be. He's going to be extremely prone to batted ball luck. Like most hitters who don't have secondary offensive skills. He can draw some walks, that's fine, but he strikes out a lot for a guy who doesn't get on base enough to justify it. So Jay Allen is on the hot seat. If we can find a better center fielder, I think we go for it. Olivero Moronta should not have played as much as he did. That is not his role. He's a very good defender, I acknowledge that, but he's not a very good hitter. Now, something else somebody pointed out to me, and I appreciate this, is if you have 2 defense first middle infielders, you're hurting the team because the AI gets obsessed with defense, and we've already seen that so many times. So I probably need to make a decision on that. He's not a regular second baseman. Max Muncy is, so hopefully Muncy returns and is healthy and plays at a high level. We'll see, though. Luis Ravello, we don't know enough about him yet. But he is also highly unlikely to be a positive offensive contributor, so there may be an upgrade there. And Alex Watson, again, hasn't played very much. I think we need to actually let him play to determine if he is going to be special or not. Now, Watson is the kind of catcher who the AI is going to go, ooh, shiny potential number, and want to give him billions of dollars. He is he's a defense catcher whose primary way of getting on base is only drawing walks. At a certain point, that isn't going to be enough to carry him in his career. But we have him for a couple years at least, so we can think about that and make some decisions going forward. The offense has to be better. It must be better. Some of that improvement will just come from having the players we've already got and letting them play better. That is definitely, without dispute, one of the ways that this team will get better. But most of our really premier prospects are very far down our minor league system. Orphe, I'm removing your special treatment. Yeah, it's like we have a lot of interesting role players, but we don't have a ton of top tier offensive players. I don't know how all of this shakes out, though, which is what's really interesting to me. Moronta is probably going to be an issue because the AI is going to want to play him because they're going to go, ooh, second baseman, shiny. But he's such a null offensively that I kind of wish there was a way to force him to be a utility guy. Is there a way to do exactly that? Like, can I say force it bench? I cannot. And this is always something I've noticed with the AI. The AI obsesses about certain things. Now, the obvious solution is probably play Moronta at shortstop, where he's an even better shortstop than Ravello is. And then just having Ravello as a backup, or sending Ravello back to the minors. That might be one solution to actually make sure we're not playing 2 zeros and 2 offensive zeros instead of just the one. It's like Max Muncy or Carlos Jorge can't play second base. They're both fine. They're just not top tier. Mr. Derek Curiel. Are you better than Jay Allen? I'm not sure. Am I willing to let you get away for nothing? I am not. I will put you on the 38-man roster and see where that gets us. Isaiah Campbell feels like slumming, to be honest with you. There's nothing wrong with him. I think he could be a somewhat effective pitcher, but I'm not going to go out of my way to keep him. I don't really see a ton of value in that. Derek Fabian is interesting. He's interesting enough that I don't think I want him to leave yet. Because he actually isn't a terrible defender, and he's got elite power. He's the kind of guy who in a utility role could add a lot of value. And he just finished murdering AAA. So he's definitely got a potential role as a role player. I probably need to also add one of Hernandez or Lowe, in case I can't get a better starting pitcher, as somebody to support. Oh, by the way, something someone has pointed out is you can always release players to get a roster spot early. They just released Tyler Glasnow right now. I don't need to do that yet, but that is a thing that I could do. So Mr. Hernandez has no control. He is highly unlikely to have control. I don't want him. Jonathan Lowe is thoroughly unremarkable, but sometimes that's okay. And so I think of these two, I think I will keep Mr. Lowe, at least for now. Okay, friends, let's advance some time now. And, wow, that solves that situation. Decided to retire. Estrada, Shapaki. Very good. For Max Muncy, you would give me Luca Trash and Jasada Brown. I don't hate either of those players, but I like Muncy, so I think I shall place him as untouchable for now and get you to stop asking me stupid questions. And Paul Skeens got his contract. He signed it. As a reminder, this is what we're looking at. And it's very player friendly, but we have to have some cost certainty, and this tells us we'll have one pitcher at least for years to come. It is, I almost called it a cap hit. It's not a cap. His salary for the next 2 seasons is actually pretty reasonable. And even $15 million is a bit of a bargain for a pitcher of his talent level. I'm going to need to see him improve a little bit. But even this version of Paul Skeens is probably worth around $15 to $20 million a year. And he could be better. He could be better. Holy hell, that's a big boy. He's not a very good pitcher, but if he develops even a little bit, he could end up having a role on the team at some point, which is pretty wild. No awards at all. That's cool. I didn't want any. Awards are for chumps. That's what I've always said. Aaron Sabato. I don't think so. Yeah, I don't think so. Tim Rogers. I mean, he's a reasonably good shortstop. I like that about him. And it's not that he doesn't have value. It's that he wants $2.6 million, and I'm not even guaranteeing to start him. Oh, it's a minor league with a major league option. I see. I think it's worth it. Because it's a major league, minor contract with a major league option, it means that if we do promote him, great. And if we don't, he costs us nothing. So yes, I will make you this offer, my friend. And I don't want your silly looking first baseman. Arbitration hearings. We don't have any left. All of our players were... Okay. I have a thing that I would like to do. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do it, but it's a thing that I would like to do. I'd like to trade Kyle Wright. I have very little issue with how he's pitched. What I do have an issue with is the amount of money he's taking up. But then again, I actually have a fair bit of money to spend now, if I so choose. And I don't have too many upcoming free agents or people that I really feel like locking up. So there is some value to be had here. Potentially. Alright, so oh, Nick Kurtz. I remember him. The guy we got from the Yankees. That's reasonable. We can let him play first base a bit, I guess. Okay. We need help for the offense. So that's going to be the first place we start. And I have some money to make a longer-term deal if it makes sense for the club. My owner should be over the moon because he wanted an extension for Skeens. That's also part of the reason I did it. Let's bring in Pete Alonso. I'm kidding. Even if I wanted to afford him, I can't. First basemen are not difficult to come by. Manuel Margot. I mean, he's better than Jay Allen, but that's not the nicest thing I can say about him. What if we start by looking at center fielders? Okay, let's start looking at good center fielders. Fielding ratings, it should be at least 50. Like, I'm not even going to talk about a center fielder that doesn't have at least that level of defensive skill. And let's save the filter so I have it for later. Defense at, yeah. I could get Miles Straw, or I could staple my own genitals. I know which of those I'm going to choose. Elise Garcia, maybe. A guy like a Trent Grisham is an interesting bet because he is a very good center fielder. And he's got secondary offensive skills that are really impressive. But if he can't hit for at least a 250 average, he's not as likely to be a good player. I could bring Cody Bellinger. He's a really good defender, and he's pretty competent offensively. Could you cost me no money? I'm gonna happily offer you no money. I'm not. No, I don't even want to give you minor league option though. Taylor. Brett Phillips is an interesting idea too. I mean, I guess Trent Grisham doesn't cost you that much money, and I'm just bringing him in to compete. We can give it a try. Give me a 2-year deal with a team option, please, so that if I decide to keep you, I can. I like my 1-year options. Okay, so that's one possibility. What do we have in the middle infield? Options. Why are you so popular? You're a good hitter, but I'm not paying $12 million for that. That's ridiculous. Bryson Stott is fine, I guess. Heriberto Hernandez is a decent hitter, but I've got quite a few of those. I'm not falling for this bait. Owen Miller? I mean, he can draw walks, I guess, but I don't really see the value in just getting someone that can do that. Ahmed Rosario presents an interesting player, somebody who can play a bunch of positions well, and his bat isn't embarrassing or anything. He'd be a nice depth pickup, but I'm looking for somebody to drastically improve the offense we've already got. At hopefully a fairly reasonable price. That's the hope. Luis Arias offers on-base skills and very little else. Alec Bohm is not terribly intriguing either. I could pay for half a year of Paul Goldschmidt, or I could not be stupid. I'm still not paying Josh Naylor that much money. I can't afford to have too many of these low average types, hoping that one of them will run into some extra baseballs. That seems like an unsustainable strategy. Yeah. You know what? Let's do it like this. This is going to be easier. Not batting potential, sorry. Or pitching ratings. Oh my god. I do need a new starting pitcher. And probably a couple relievers too. So that may be where our money goes. So Freddie Freeman is obviously the best hitter in this class. I am not paying him $28 million and losing a draft pick. That's insane. I can't afford a Ronald Acuna. I'm not convinced he would even be a great fit if I did. I mean, a guy like a Nolan Arenado. Oh, God, I was thinking of somebody else. I can't afford that shit. Nathaniel Lowe, I guess, has some interest to me. Nice contact, home run, and discipline. But I think the biggest upgrade is just going to be getting rid of the players that we know are going to be zeros. So one interesting question is, do we go after an upgraded catcher? Or do we just let Watson have a full season to show us what he could do? I think maybe letting Watson figure it out is a reasonable take. Jared Walsh. There's a fair bit to be gained by just letting the players I've already got try to hit. Like, I have plenty of first base prospects. I have plenty of middle infielders who can hit. I've got a reasonably deep outfield. I mean, I guess the benefit of upgrading the outfield would be getting a really good defensive center fielder, which I'm already working on. Is a high contact guy like Arias exactly what we need? Or is the solution just letting Tommy White figure out his shit? That might actually be the correct answer. Instead of spending money for a veteran stopgap, it may be more effective to just let things go and see where it gets us. Okay. We have a very young offensive core. Like, consider, if we look at our lovely sausages here. Oh, let me make my favorite of all time customization thing here. Doop 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 doop. We'll take that. Here you go, player last transaction type. I need to get rid of one column here. Honestly, probably the number. Like, I don't really care what their uniform number is. I don't want to be able to read that. No, it's going to be an issue no matter where I put it. I need to find something else to get rid of here. I don't really care about the inf or more windows. Oh, let me get rid of those here. Because this is going to be my new default. Okay, we're getting better. And I like knowing the nationalities. I like all the other columns that are here. I mean, I guess the height and weight aren't that interesting. And not on this page anyway. Like, I tend not to look at them, except when I'm evaluating prospects. Here we go. Now I can read the dates. So you are my new default view. I'm going to save you as local, too. Oh, I can't. It's either global or local. Okay. I love seeing this shit. It always makes me happy to see how we get all these various players. Max Muncy is a space alien, clearly, because he was never acquired. One day there was no Max Muncy, and then there was a Max Muncy. He was drafted. Like, I don't know why you're pretending like you don't know what happened to him. It's kind of funny, though. Yeah. '38th overall pick for Alex Watson. Anyway, kind of a sidetrack kind of thing. But yes, this is the most important number here. We have 0 regulars over 30. Not even one. In fact, our oldest regular that's going to stay regular is probably Max Muncy at 25. This is an incredibly young team. And because it's so young, part of the improvement is just going to come from players figuring out how to play in the big leagues. So that's why I'm highly uninterested in spending a shit ton of money on players. Now, at some point, I'm going to start making decisions on some of these players, and I'm willing to do that when the time comes. But for right now, I'm cool. I am cool to let things go as they need to go. Before we go any farther, though, with free agency, I'm thinking of trading Nick Kurtz, and here's why. Nick Kurtz, more or less, is what he is at this point. He's got room to grow a little bit, but not as much as you'd think. He's got a high floor. Tommy White is about as good as Nick Kurtz is right now, but has this huge potential to him. And I feel like we're doing him a disservice by keeping Kurtz. Like, there's no sense in having two players who are both 24 with have almost identical offensive profiles, one of whom has a huge ceiling, the other one not so much. I think trading Kurtz does make quite a bit of sense. And we're going to focus on pitchers. Not veterans, but I would take a prospect or a regular. I mean, I know he's going to cost me money in arbitration, and he's not going to be cheap to retain, but he's so fucking good that he might actually end up being worth it. Done. I don't know what it is about Andrew Painter you thought wouldn't be a great fit, assistant GM, but this gives us two very high upside pitchers at tender young ages. And I know part of the issue, right, is that he's worried this guy's going to cost a lot of money in the future, which is completely reasonable, but I'm more than willing to see how he works out. At the very least, I'm keeping him for his arbitration years. That's a given. Okay, so that's one thing that we've managed to address. That's our additional starter. I'm not going to trade Kyle Wright just to trade him, but I will try to invest a little bit in upgrading the bullpen. I think that's the last big area to make some moves in. So we're going to go a bloop, a bloop, a bloop. Oh, no. I do want all relievers, but I want to make sure I can see how much money they cost me. Chris Clark, a right-armed side-armer who gets a ton of ground balls. I mean, the price is definitely right. That is a certainty. I mean, splurging a bit for Brian Abreu to be our new closer has a ton of interest to me, though. With his higher stamina, he could be somebody we use fairly frequently. What do you want for your salary, my friend? Make this a team option, and I will agree. There we go. Okay, let's advance up to Hall of Fame voting. You're right, he does have to be activated. I completely forgot about Jose Lopez. He's actually quite a good reliever in his own right. Yandy Diaz. I don't think so. I don't think you're. I think you're failing to understand the fact that I'm completely fine with Tommy White or whomever the game puts at first base. I guess Ryan Weathers. Oh, it's already expired. Womp womp. Okay. I'm gonna vote for Bartolo Colon. Jacob deGrom is going to be a really interesting test case in real life when he votes, when he's eligible. Because when he was available, he was a fantastic pitcher and a 3-time Cy Young Award winner. But the thing is, he wasn't as healthy as you might like. I still admire pitchers that have a great peak. I wish I could see his full Jaws numbers. Like his peak score. But I think his peak score is probably quite reasonable, so I will vote for Jacob deGrom. Liam Hendricks is a big fart noise. I'll vote for King Felix. Clayton Kershaw is an easy pick. I don't think there's any disputing that Mr. Kershaw is going to go into the Hall of Fame in real life either. There's just a part of me that doesn't feel great about voting for relievers. If I were to vote for reliever, I'd probably pick Kenley Jansen over Craig Kimbrell. But let's see who else might be available, and then I'll come back and look at the relievers more if I need to. Joe Mauer, I think, deserves it. I'll toss a vote to Andrew McCutchen. Former Guardians draft pick Drew Pomerantz. I remember him. We traded him for Ubaldo Jimenez, like the 1 year that Ubaldo Jimenez is actually quite good. CC Sabathia, definitely. I don't see a world where Giancarlo Stanton isn't seriously considered for the Hall of Fame just because of how many home runs he has, so I'll vote for him too. I'll vote for Joey Votto and Adam Wainwright. I'll throw a vote to Ichiro. I don't know if it's going to matter, but again, as I talked about last episode, the Ichiro that includes his entire career performance is a Hall of Famer. I'm just not sure that Major League only Ichiro is a Hall of Famer. That's just my opinion, man. I guess I'll vote for Craig Kimbrell and Kenley Jansen. If they get in, they get in. If they don't, they don't. Bartolo Colon. I guess I could vote for Mad Bum too. There you go. Done. You would give me the Everson Pereira. No. Jefferson Morales. I swear to God, there must be some kind of sign outside the Oakland A's HQ that says, "Give us your mediocre first baseman. We desperately need them to be relevant." Um, as an offense first backup, MJ Melendez is fine. But I don't feel like giving up Luberta. I don't think that's a good decision. So I shall politely decline. Is there a particular player that I think could be transformed into a nice little prospect? Who's Felix Castro? Where did you come from? Oh, I guess you're just sitting here on a minor league contract. Okay, neat. Oh, don't give me your fucking OSA bullshit. I trust my scout. Give me my scout. Only my scout. Like, I like how OSA thinks Andrew Painter is going to be a garbage fire. I'm not convinced of that at all. Not in the least. Right. What is your deal, Everett Johnson? You're a reasonably competent offense. Oh, I just acquired you, didn't I? You're a reasonably competent offensive dude. Is your deal? I'm gonna trade Moises Hernandez. I have no desire to have him for even one moment, unless I turned him into a reliever, maybe. As reliever, he might actually be worthwhile, but as a starter, not so much. He's just gonna walk too damn many people. If I made him into a reliever, just out of curiosity, his stuff gets better, but that's it. Like, it's not enough to ever put him on the major league roster. Does he have any history of improving his control? Very vaguely. So no, I think Mr. Hernandez could kindly be flipped for another prospect who might be a bit more interesting to me. Oh, so I'm looking at only pitchers. I'll look at anything. Anything at all that gives us a quality player. Oh, the classic center fielder who can't play center field. You're a good player. I just don't think you fit very well on this version of the Oakland A's. Especially when we have scads of outfielders who are quite similar to that. He's fine, I suppose. We could get ourselves a little Pedro Pineda. Done. I'm starting to question the value of this trading reputation thing. Like, I'm not going to trade just to trade. If the trade doesn't make sense for the club, I'm not going to trade. I don't know how the game takes that into account, though. If you've had experience with a bit more than I have, please feel free to share your thoughts in the comments about whether it's a silly feature I should just turn off or there's actual value to it. Is there any other prospect that doesn't seem to have a path to the majors? Not at the moment. Like a guy like a Braden Egan could very quickly end up. Well, actually, that is a serious issue. That deeply concerns me. And it's not as though, his minor league number suggests... No, his minor league number suggests he's going to be worse, if anything. He doesn't throw very hard, either. He is regularly improving. He's already started putting heat on his fastball. So it's probably worth keeping him for a bit longer to see if he can continue to be a better version of himself with more time. So I guess we can keep him around. Looking for any fringy prospects we could flip for... What is your deal, Bryce Clavin? You could be a starting shortstop for the A's. I think you're kind of far away from that mark. But you definitely have a future on this club. I'm not getting rid of you without a fight. Oh, right. Both of you, you're free to move about the minors. Alright. Anyone else that I think is flawed in some such way that it's not worth keeping them around? Joe Mack. Joe Mama. Cal Rowley is fine for the role he plays, and so I'm not gonna mess with him. I wouldn't mind a more reliable offensive catcher. I think that's the one thing that I'm most concerned about. But he's so good defensively, and if he works well with the team, then I'm not going to mess with him. I think this is probably fun in terms of trades, unless something jumps out at me. I mean, I don't see how Brian Abreu counts as a starter. But if you want me to try that, I guess we can. Boop. The Astros would send me Rhys Hoskins. I don't think so. You're just Watson, but not as good. So I don't think so. But you're not a starter, you're a reliever. So stop trying to make him into a starter. In fact, I definitely don't trust Mark Kotze to do this correctly, so he is a reliever. Only use him as such. Oh, yeah. Oh, no. That starts here. So there's not even any prospects yet. Mm-hmm. Or maybe there are prospects. I've just been ignoring them. Have I been being stupid again? I have been. There's some really good players. Let's get a stronger relationship with them if we can. Wait, what? Huh? Oh, okay, that was the issue. Okay. And then I keep forgetting to do this, but it is quite important. Because international scouting is a way to make things happen. See winter meetings and Stephen Kwan. I do like Stephen Kwan, but not for that amount of fucking money. The benefit of going after Leva specifically is that he's already 18. On the other hand, he's not... His offensive package isn't particularly enthralling. So yeah. I mean, you could just not be a jackass and give me more money. That is an option available to you, sir. Meh. I wish I had an option to do nothing. Like, say, don't give me offers for this kind of player. I'm not interested. Tobias Myers is literally terrible. I don't get it. Let me guess. Mediocre first baseman. Hey, look, I was right. Stop. Uh, yeah. There is some interest in a guy like an MJ Melendez to strengthen our catching core. He's better than Cal Raleigh for sure. But it might also keep me out of some of the international free agent market. So I think I have to decline this deal unless you're willing to eat some or all of his salary. If you'll pay for him, I will bring him in as an upgrade over Cal Raleigh. That's my pledge to you. I'm not giving you anything else, so sorry. I'm just gonna say not interested anymore because I don't want to take on the salary. That's the difference for me. Oh right, I don't want to lose Felix Castro for nothing. So let me quickly toss you onto the 38-man roster. There we go. It's a lot of pitchers. It is a lot of pitchers that are being offered up. Yeah, I can't be bothered. There's nobody interesting in this Rule 5 draft this time around. Probably because he just picked too late. Like, the real good players are already gone. Go up to international free agency. Okay, we get Trent Grisham, which is very good. And place on active roster. Our 38-man roster is now full, so we're definitely going to have to make some changes to that potentially. Oh my god, game. I will fucking murder you if you don't stop offering me bad first baseman. Brian Acuna is fine. I don't hate that. Christian Gonzalez is equally acceptable. I guess the only benefit is trading Jeremiah Estrada, who's extremely expensive, but I can probably do better. I can probably do better. Um. Yeah, I'm not interested in that. Jackson Merrill. Okay, this is the kind of play I'm actually interested in. You're a really good infielder who's got some pretty good offensive skills at several positions. You're asking for Julio Vela, who is still a gigantic lottery ticket. I see very little downside to this transaction. Done. A guy like Jackson Merrill is a very good fit for this club. Yeah, Jack Perkins, I'm taking you off the roster. There we go. I probably have too many infielders. We're going to need to do some stuff to get this cleared out a bit. Hall of Fame, Clayton Kershaw, CC Sabathia, only 2 in. That makes sense. That makes sense. Oh my god. No. Stop it. Game, please. Enjoy him, Angels. I wish you well of him. But I ain't gonna fuck with it. Okay. Baden Fairbank would look... Oh, God, he's a reliever. If this changeup doesn't improve significantly, he will never succeed in the major leagues. Hard pass. Hard pass. I'm going to kick the tires on Jesus Ramos. There's nothing wrong with Amoruso, and we can probably get him quite cheaply. So I'm going to offer him a very small contract. It's looking room to offer at least one more. I will take a chance on Baden Fairbank. And see where that gets us. And we'll sim another week. No. I'm not giving you my money. Not for a player that's not good. Okay, are there any other interesting international free agents? You've given me more money, you thrifty bastard. I'm going to tell you where that money's going. That's going right into player development. $20 million. Oh, whoops. Oh, I literally can't go any higher than that. That's annoying. Okay. Is international free agent signing over? Ew. Can't do that. I still have 2 million left, though. I still have a fair bit of money left. Let's take a run at Juan Leyva. And see what that. See if we can get him for relatively little. I like that. Let's go for that. I've still got a fair bit of money left. Like another 2 million. Let's go after a guy like Aguirre, because I can probably get him for very little money. And I will go after Cardenas as well. We're going to go for quantity this time around. And we'll sim another week. I can give you oh, you want... Wait, what? I'm giving you what you're asking for. I'm not going to get Leyva, obviously. That is not a thing I can do because the Rangers are bidding you up. Like the big fat jerks they are. I could try to sneak in here and grab Moreno. I don't think it's very likely. No, he's getting too much money. He won't even really talk to me. Nope. What is David Navarro's deal? There's an interesting picture here if you squint. I will give you, out of the kindness of my heart, $1 million dues. Got Cardenas. There we go. Player development all seems to be somewhat bad, but Baden Fairbank is already throwing harder. I literally just got him, so that's a really good and interesting idea. You're already 19, so your days in the international complex are already numbered. Let's send you to the minors. Nelson Carrera, same deal. Like, you're going to be going there anyway. You might as well get to hang out with your teammates sooner. And we'll go up to spring training now. Alright. So we're going to do Egan can have a shot. Johnson, Orphy, Pineda, Rogers. Okay, I think that's probably it. I don't really see any kind of rush to give anyone else real opportunities. Okie dokie. So you do your thing, Mark Kotze. You find them jobs, let them baseball a bit, and then we'll work out who is worthy of the opening day roster. A lot of minor moves this episode, and I am perhaps betting a little bit too much on the idea of I'm perhaps betting a little bit too much on the idea that he will make that the team is just going to get better because they're so young. That's not always a guarantee. It's in fact not always a reasonable proposition, but it is a possibility. And it's kind of what we have to do, right? Like, I don't get the option to just sign all the fancy veterans. I've got to rely heavily on youngsters, and yeah, Jose Lopez may never pitch again. With his injuries, I wouldn't be surprised to see him retire. But we'll see what happens. We shall see what happens. Don't injure Brian Abreu. That's not very nice of you, game. He was like my big free agent acquisition. Don't be lame. Alright, I have 43 players. That is, to be fair, too much. Let's begin by getting down to... Wait, what? Oh, I think I have to set him as a closer in order for him to like be locked in as a closer, maybe. I don't really care who you use, though. Let's get these numbers down, though. So I have 18 pitchers. With a 26-man roster, I think any more than 13 is too much. Let's get rid of the obvious ones. Castro, what? What? How are you out of option years? I just invited you to spring training. You don't get fucking... Oh, I see it was Cusick. That was the issue. Okay. Egan to the minors. Jose Lopez to the IL. Lowe to the minors. Stahl to the minors. Where does that put us at? 13 pitchers. And I'm fine with that. Congratulations, Mario. You made the team. I didn't really expect you to, but hey, that's how it works sometimes. Mac to the minors. Susak gets traded. Some other team can offer him an opportunity to be his very best. Brody Kahn cannot play shortstop, but he's okay at a number of other positions, so I think he's a useful organizational piece, so I will make that deal. I need to get rid of 10 position players. Okay. Fabian Johnson to the minors. Ravello to the minors. Orphy to the minors. Rogers to the minors. What do I have to do to get you to play fucking Tommy White? Like, what is it about everyone but Tommy White that convinces you he shouldn't be starting? I don't get it, but we'll figure it out. Curiel to the minors. Pineda to the minors. I don't need 6 outfielders. Do I no, I'm going to demote Jay Allen. Because that'll hopefully stop the AI from trying to use him. Gotta get rid of 2 more infielders. If you would play Moronta at shortstop, I'd be far more willing to let him stay on the roster. But if you're going to insist that he stays at second base, I think we're going to have words. Jorge to the minors. Or is it... Flagging Merrill as the first baseman is weird as shit when he's so much more than that. Update your choices just so I can see who you're putting where. Why the fuck would you play Eric Batoni at shortstop? I guess he's not that bad, but it seems really weird. And then you just flat out bench him? What? I mean, I'm sure it'll change over the course of the season. Alright. Look, if I'm going to keep Moronta, I have to play him at shortstop. So I'm going to force you to play him at shortstop. It's either that or get rid of him. Let's see how this changes up your choices here. So Batoni becomes a DH. Okay. And I'm going to force Tommy White. I don't know why you're forcing Jackson Merrill to play. When Tommy White offers so much more upside, he has to be our starting first baseman. So you play Merrill at second, and you play Moronta at shortstop. Which means Muncy ends up the odd man out. Or is Muncy playing third? No, Muncy's definitely not playing third. I'm reasonably... No, I'm not okay with that. Merrill goes to the minors. Because Muncy is that much better as a hitter. So Merrill goes to the minors. Seems with one player left to decide what to do with. If I send down Jorge, that gives me 4 infielders, one of whom can't really play any position. I think I have to keep Jorge and send down an outfielder. That is my impression. And that probably means Almonte. Letting Almonte get more reps in AAA is only going to help him. I don't love having only 4 outfielders, though. I think I need to keep Almonte and send down somebody else. An infielder. Maybe Brady House is reasonable because he only plays third. And he can just be ready if we need a good third baseman. Okay. So let's update all the things here. And there we go. I don't get why you're so enamored of playing him as our number 3 hitter, but I guess there's worse decisions. And this is kind of what I wanted to see. I wanted Muncy playing at second base, where I think he can do the most good. And then the rest of the team doing their thing. This is, again, it's an incredibly young lineup. Other than now Trent Grisham, our grizzled old man at the tender age of 31. Yeah. I think ultimately we have too many players that are very, very similar. Like, this second base log jam is getting ridiculous. And we're probably going to do something about that if we're going to get to the next level. What if we kept Merrill over Jorge? No, I don't think that makes sense, because then you'll try to play fucking Merrill at first base or some weird bullshit. You were quite good in the majors, though. Major League track record is worth something to me. You know what? You talked me into it, game. Jorge to the minors, Merrill to the majors. And let's update all of this. That's what I figured would happen. That Muncy would get benched for Merrill, because you know how the AI is about its defense. I'm kind of okay about that, because it's not like Muncy is years better than Merrill. They're actually quite close. So I think this makes sense. Yeah. Is there anything else to do before ending the episode? This is such a young team. And I know I keep saying that, but it's still true. Because it's so young, literally anything could happen. We could end up having multiple breakouts and multiple players, and we sail into a nice high seed in the playoffs. Or everything goes to shit, and I get fired. Either one of those things is possible. But that's what happens when you have a young team. Now, I think this team's ceiling is incredibly high. I think if we can see them each make some improvements, I think we step in as contenders for the AL West, certainly, and perhaps more, depending on everything else. Next season's going to be interesting, next offseason, because Kyle Wright's contract comes off the books. And Shane McClanahan becomes maybe movable. I can't pay Andrew Painter an extension sight unseen, but that's probably one of my next moves, is to see how he performs and consider giving him a bit of a boost. His numbers in Philly don't look that great, but I'm not clear why they're so bad. Because his actual pitching seems relatively competent. He could be pitching better, obviously. His peripherals looks fairly solid, other than giving up the home runs, which I guess makes sense given the movement. Maybe Philly's park is a bit of a bandbox, because I think ours does suppress homers to a certain extent. Yeah, it does. It does suppress homers a bit. So, yeah. Nito Completo. Just out of curiosity. Go fuck yourself. I cannot stress that enough. Go fuck yourself. We're going to have a lot of arbitration decisions to make next season. So there'll be a little bit more of interest in the off season. Deciding who's worth keeping, who's worth trading. I need to figure out who our second basemen are. I think that's probably the biggest issue for this team, is that we now have 3 reasonable choices to be second baseman. I don't want to trade them too early in case one of them gets injured or whatever, but it is something we're going to have to sort out as the season progresses. Jackson Merrill is going to be the most expensive, and I get why, because he does play third and short quite well as well. But we're going to see what happens. We're going to see how the season progresses and decide who's most important to keep. There will get to a point where I'm going to have to make decisions, though. I'm going to have to say, this is how much I'm willing to pay, this is how much I'm not willing to pay, and then see where that takes us. We're going to have quite a few Super 2s, actually. There is a reasonable chance that we have even more arbitration cases. Is there anybody else that is worth trying to lock up for a longer term deal while they're still very cheap? Peyton Green is a possibility. Oh, he only wants a 1-year deal. That's reasonable, I guess. Max Clark wanting a giant contract deeply concerns me. Deeply concerns me. Like, it's not totally insane, but considering the fact he's a corner outfielder that doesn't have a ton of power, I think he's incredibly helpful, and I do want to consider keeping him, but not at that price. He's wanting $20 million a year to be an corner outfielder that isn't it for a lot of power. That is concerning to me. That is an issue. Confident hasn't really slugged yet in the majors in a real way. I said it powers about 200 though, so like he's hitting badly, just not as well as you might prefer. I think we go all in on Juan Murillo. I'm joking. No, I do want a little bit more stability in starting pitcher, and that is actually a genuine concern. Because after this season, we lose Kyle Wright. After next season, we lose McClanahan and Painter and potentially Jones. So I think finding a sustainable starting pitching strategy is going to be important. And look, losing McClanahan's salary is going to be gigantic for us. It's going to really reset the market for how we can perform. And we'll be able to give out a little bit more money extensions to our own team. However, that's all problems for future Abby. Fuck that guy. Until next time, my friends, this has been App Guardian. Thank you for watching, and I bid you good day.